Great. So we'll go ahead and get started now. Welcome, everyone. Today's webinar is about how you can drive growth in a hospitality company. We will be covering real customers in the industry who have seen amazing results by moving to Sage Intacct and partnering with rinehimerbaker. Leading the call today is Tanya and Zach. And a few housekeeping notes before we get started. Please enter all the questions in the chat box or the Q&A box while they're speaking. We'll follow up afterwards with any questions they'll be asked at the end. And if we don't get to your question, we will email you this afternoon with your answer. Secondly, we're going to highlight many different companies that have been successful using rinehimerbaker and Sage Intacct. If you want to read further about any particular case or all of them, just send a message in the chat box about which ones you're interested in, and we'll get those case studies to you this afternoon as well. Lastly, we'll have everyone on mute since we'll be recording this webinar, and you'll be able to access it later today on our YouTube channel, and you can definitely share it with anyone on your team. Before we get started, I'm going to send out a quick poll question for everyone to answer to help our speakers get a general sense of where everyone's current accounting situation is. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and send out the poll question and give everyone about 45 seconds to answer. It's pretty easy. It's how long is your current month-end process? This is great. We've almost got 100% participation. I'm going to give everyone else about another 20 seconds to choose their answer. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We had everything from 4 to 7 days to greater than 10 days. I'm going to share the results. So that's great. Those that are greater than 10 days, this is a really great thing for you to look at. And this 4 to 7 and 7 to 10 days, this will also work for you. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tanya.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. Can you still hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, great. So I want to start by just giving you a brief idea of who rinehimerbaker is and kind of what we do. You know, our goal is to help companies deliver clear and measurable results so they can make decisions that allow them to grow, scale quickly, and focus on meeting their organizational targets. We're experienced accountants with a proven track record helping companies in the hospitality industry successfully and repeatedly meet their objectives by utilizing a best-in-class cloud-based ERP solution. And the way we partnered with these companies was to demonstrate how they could take advantage of a solution that provides value, specifically outcomes that originate from having automated processes and clear, measurable results. So this and the next few slides are going to show some of the tangible results companies in the hospitality industry have experienced by upgrading their accounting solution. This one highlights a food service company that grew their business exponentially over 30 years, serving over 70 locations. They improved their cash flow by $760,000 as a result of faster collections and automation of revenue recognition and billing. This example is a franchisee group for Burger King. They grew from 28 locations to 32 in 4 years and branched out as a new franchisee in another industry altogether. They've shortened their monthly close time by 50% and can create custom reports, providing a deeper level of insight 500 times faster than before. And even with their growth, their accounting team has been trimmed from 4 full-time staff to 3.5. This one is a franchisee for Culver's. They've been able to streamline their complex financial processes, go paperless, and cut their month-end close time by 25%. The visibility gained into each area of the business puts real-time financial information into the hands of decision makers. And lastly, this one highlights how a franchisee for Hardee's was able to gain efficiency and visibility in their financial processes without needing to hire, even with their rapid expansion. They were able to eliminate much of their manual data entry and save over 36 hours on things like reconciliations, recording payroll, and AP bill processing. So, you're probably wondering, what do all these companies have in common? Well, these are all customers of Sage Intacct that have experienced high growth through the acquisition of new locations and brands and have done so with excellent results. So these are the companies we just discussed, and they all had challenges trying to grow. But after they made the switch to Sage Intacct, they were able to see clear and measurable results. Let's discuss some of the challenges they had, and let's see if you can relate to any of these. So creative dining services had visibility issues into key metrics of locations as they expanded. Sage Intacct gave the finance team the real-time visibility and allowed them to automate and spend more time focusing on business strategy, which led to an increased cash flow by $760,000. Layered Management, as a franchisee group for Burger King, was limited in their ability to consolidate transactions, and reporting was slow and even inaccurate. Sage Intacct provided the user-friendly platform they were looking for and accelerated their reporting so they could draw rapid insight across all their entities. A Culver's franchisee, S&L Companies, had a tedious consolidation process and was looking to minimize duplicate intercompany entries and report their financials by dimensions. After implementing Intacct, they streamlined consolidations and added automation and improved the finance team's productivity by 50%. With the efficiency they gained, they estimate that their investment in Intacct pays for itself within 5 months every year. And lastly, Star Corp, a franchisee for Hardee's, is another company who had a lengthy consolidation and reconciliation process. With Sage Intacct, they were able to gain speed and visibility into each store's financial performance. By eliminating much of their manual data entry and exports to spreadsheets, they saved over 36 hours per month. So Sage Intacct has helped not only the organizations I mentioned earlier, but thousands of others. In many of these boxes, you'll recognize the franchise logo to the right of the corporate name. And next, we'll talk about some of the challenges and issues facing franchises and restaurants today. And after that, then I'll turn it over to Zach, and he'll continue that conversation by highlighting a few other local companies who were positively impacted by partnering with Sage Intacct and rinehimerbaker. So measuring outcomes and achieving growth is more important than ever given today's competitive climate. These are the biggest trends we're seeing that impact the franchise food service industry today. One is off-premise sales account for the majority of industry growth, which calls for an evolved technology strategy. And point-of-sale systems are becoming increasingly more sophisticated, which is great because they give operators the ability to turn data into actionable knowledge and to improve the customer experience. But integrating these systems can be a challenge. And an already slim margin business, prime costs such as food prices and wages are increasing. And all of that has put an increased focus on the availability of performance data and has made the back of the house operations critical partners of the business. So in our experience, getting real-time insights into your business is critical. Many times when companies have come to us, they communicate that their management reports are important, but they're not always as useful as they need to be. It's usually a challenge because some of the combination of the reasons on this screen. Which of these reasons resonate with you? Excel-based reporting can be time-consuming and prone to error. And when an ad hoc request comes in on short notice from an executive and you're time-starved already, it's painful sometimes to sort through all the pages of information, searching for the insight you need to give. And even when you have the information, reporting is not always actionable. Manual processes take effort and eat up valuable time. Most companies would ideally like to complete their month-end close process in 5 days or less. But if it takes 15 to 20 days to do that, the information can be outdated by the time it's made available. And finally, going with a platform that doesn't scale for your growth can be a hindrance, costing you overhead just to run in place. So again, our goal is to help organizations implement process improvements that allow them to scale. Growth means more touches for your finance team, more entities or locations, transactions, sales orders, accounts payable bills, purchase orders. You get the idea. At the same time, if growth also means continuing to do more manually intensive activities like data integrations between systems and spreadsheet workarounds, then growth can also be a very painful thing, especially if you're trying to scale. A system should help you spend most of your time focusing on growth. We believe the right financial management system can help you be successful. And the way we do it is with a modern cloud financial management system that offers custom reporting and insight through customizable real-time dashboards personalized for user, department, or entity. Secondly, continuous consolidations and drill down across multiple locations. Streamline business processes across all entities to create transactions in a way that meets your requirements, provides insight, and complies with regulations. And lastly, built-in flexibility with a modern cloud platform so you can access reports and data anytime, anywhere. I think we have a polling question now, so let me turn it over to Catherine and you can set up our next polling question.
We do. So the next question is based off this slide. So which aspects of implementing a cloud-based ERP solution like Sage Intacct would benefit your company? You can definitely select more than one answer, and I will be launching the poll now. So I'll give everyone about another 45 seconds to answer this one, and don't forget that you can choose more than one. Okay, we're really close to 100% participation, just a few people left. And then I will read out the top results. So I'll give everyone another 5 to 10 seconds to get their answers in. Okay, great. So it looks like our number one that the majority of people had were custom reporting and dashboards, which is great to know. Coming in second was continuous multi-entity consolidations, and then we had a tie for the last two of streamlined business processes and best-in-class modern platform. So I am going to turn it back over to Tanya.
All right, thank you. So we're going to talk about each of these areas a little bit more. So, with Sage Intacct dashboards, finance professionals can have insight to all of their data in one place and in real time. Dashboards can be tailored to any role in the company, CFO, controller, or even by a non-finance business partner. So this includes capturing all your financial and business metrics, and from a high level, drilling down to the detail to explore what's happening. Faster insight also happens when you collaborate with your peers, especially those who don't work in the same building. And dashboards promote communication with each other to get context behind the numbers without relying on emails and phone calls. And lastly, personalized ad hoc information. You can personalize ad hoc information and even build dashboards. It's as easy to do yourself without requiring an IT resource. Sage Intacct allows you to consolidate your financials anytime you want. So without requiring an IT resource, again, you can model your organization structure based on how you report results. You don't have to worry about remembering to do an intercompany elimination journal entry ever again, as those are automated based on rules. And Intacct allows your organization to be global ready. You can revalue your financials using any exchange rate and consolidate all your entities at the same time, not one at a time. And lastly, Intacct also features a multi-book functionality, which allows you to report your numbers under different accounting standards if you need to. Our solution can streamline processes with integrated transaction workflow, whatever it is you sell and need to buy. And we'll keep your processes scalable when your business grows and you start selling additional goods and services, doing more business with your vendors, or having more employees using the system. Sage Intacct is also audit ready. We help accounting departments minimize the time and effort needed to provide supporting documentation for audits, as well as tracking down changes made by users. So don't just take our word for it. Sage Intacct is the preferred solution recommended by the AICPA, and it's rated best in class by Gartner, which is defined as a superior product within a category of hardware or software. With Sage Intacct, you have the flexibility to choose the best product for your company. With the best-in-class strategy, you pay for what you need, you keep the existing tools and systems that work well in your organization, and you integrate Sage Intacct with existing systems to create the right environment to support your business needs. You don't have the downsides and risks of buying a suite where you're not getting the best solution, or where you're dependent on a single provider, or where you're risking vendor lock-in with a company that may be forcing you down a path of buying more functionality than you really need. So the question is, will your business survive or thrive? You can continue doing things the same way and survive, or would you rather thrive like some of the customer examples I shared earlier? As you're pondering this thought, I'm going to turn it over to Zachariah, and he's going to talk a little bit more about how we've helped some local firms in the hospitality industry.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, you sound good.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Tanya, for that. And now we're just going to jump in a little bit here, and we wanted to show you some specific customer use cases of how Sage Intacct has positively impacted customers of Rinehimerbaker specifically. And the first one I wanted to start out with today was 1000 North. They're a high-end semi-private club restaurant with water views of the Jupiter Lighthouse, right here not very far from our headquarters. Their club membership is by invitation only and provides exclusive access to their second floor members lounge and privileges such as chef's table dining, concierge services, docking rights, members only events, and much more. 1000 North is backed by a consortium of multiple famous investors, some of which include Michael Jordan, Ernie Els, and Ricky Fowler, just to name a few. So I wanted to start off today talking about 1000 North and really talk about some of the issues they had prior to moving to Sage Intacct. To start, they have a high volume of invoices that they receive, and on any given month they receive 400 plus invoices, which in the hospitality industry is not uncommon. And in their specific case, a lot of times during peak season down here in South Florida, they're getting 500 to 600 invoices a month. And not only do they have a high volume of invoices, but they were also looking for very, very granular coding of their prime cost invoices. So instead of just coding everything to food, they were coding it by poultry, seafood, dairy, on that line item level detail. And also, they're a newer business that's only been around for a few years now. So when we started with them and put them on Sage Intacct, they really had no established accounts payable workflow to build upon. So they needed someone to kind of step in and build a process for them. One of their other requirements was they needed month close within 4 business days of each month end so that they could be proactive managers and react to situations quicker and react to last month's financial standing very quickly instead of, like Tanya said, waiting 10, 15, 20 days potentially to get insight and then it being stale by the time you get it. They also have a very large collection of high dollar wines, spirits, and proteins that required strict inventory controls. And when I say high dollar items, think Iberico ham, Chateau Latour wine, Wagyu beef, Pappy Van Winkle bourbon. These are all items that a small loss in volume can mean a large loss on gross margin. Also, being that they're a semi-private club restaurant concept, they needed the ability to track revenue and cost separately but efficiently. And what I mean by that is they needed to be able to track the revenue and expenses by the club versus the restaurant because they have membership that should be attributed to the club. They have a retail wine program that's revenue and expense for the club. And additionally, they have employees, some of which are specifically for the club, some of which are shared between the club and the restaurant, and they needed to be able to allocate those payroll costs across the two so they could clearly see the performance of the club versus the performance of the restaurant. Now, once they engaged with Rinehimerbaker and we moved them on to Sage Intacct, they had tremendous success in their business. One of the main ones that I want to highlight, that was the first thing I started off with on the last slide, was their AP process. With Sage Intacct and our other cloud solutions, Rinehimerbaker implemented a seamless and automated procure-to-pay process, all the way from receivership of an invoice in the back of the kitchen to it being paid to the actual payment going out to the vendor. So to highlight this, I just wanted to briefly kind of run through this process to really show you the power of the solution that we built for them. So when a receiver is signed and received in the actual back of the kitchen and someone's verified that the products were received, it's then scanned in. Once it's scanned in via the scanner in the back office kitchen, it's totally cloud-based from there forward. Once it's scanned, it's automatically coded via OCR technology all the way down to that line item detail that they were requiring. So again, this is a totally automated process. No one's manually typing in line item by line item detail. And then once that's done via OCR, there is one clerk that looks at it on 1000 North's team just to verify that it actually is an invoice. It was something that should have gotten scanned. It wasn't a misscan, and approves it. Once that first initial layer of approval is completed, the invoice is sent over for actual invoice approval by the management, again within the cloud system, and it's automatically routed to the appropriate approver. So for kitchen items, all of those kitchen-related invoices automatically go to the chef for approval. All of the bar-related invoices go to the beverage director, and all of the administrative kind of back office overhead expenses go to their office manager for approval. Once the invoice is then approved, it's sent for final payment approval by the managing partner of the restaurant. And then once the managing partner approves payment, payment is automatically sent out via the vendor's preferred payment method, be it check, ACH, or digital credit card. And I really want to stress here on this payment part that no one is touching the payment. Once that managing partner clicks pay, no one is cutting checks, no one's licking and sticking envelopes and dropping them in the mail. Once that managing partner clicks pay, it's automatically, again, looking at the vendor's payment preference and shooting payment off to that vendor. This allows for complete visibility into the AP process from receiver to invoice. Again, once that invoice is scanned in, it goes up, it's uploaded into the cloud system. And from there, any of the approvers, the managing partner, anyone that's associated with the finance side of the business can look at any stage of the process, see who approved it, when they approved it, where an invoice stands in the approval process, and really gives a clear auditability to the process. It also, again, allows for the very granular tracking, not only by the GL, by their very granular GL accounts, but also by item and price. Since they're leveraging OCR technology to automatically code to the line item detail of each invoice, this allows for real-time trend tracking, which allows them to effectively plan their menu and negotiate with vendors. An example of this would be, say, tuna. Every time tuna is purchased at the restaurant, OCR automatically captures the type of tuna, the price per pound, and how many pounds were purchased. And it looks at this across all the vendors. So the chef can log into the system and immediately see, I've bought tuna 10 times over the last 2 months. Here's the trend in the price paid each time. Here's every time I've placed an order. Here's how many pounds I bought, my average pound per order, which really gives that power, again, to not only plan your menu for seasonal spikes in those ingredient costs, but also go back and negotiate with vendors. Being on Sage Intacct, this provided them a centralized cloud GL platform with anytime, anywhere access. So no one on the team has to hassle with VPNs, downtime, server maintenance. Their IT costs have been dramatically reduced. All the benefits that come with being on a cloud platform. Again, one of their big key points that we had to fulfill when we engage with them was delivering financials within 4 business days of each month end, which we successfully do every single month. And again, this is just giving them the ability to react to situations with fresh data and be proactive with decision making from month to month. And in addition to that, management has drill down capabilities into all those reports. So we're not only giving them these reports within 4 business days of each month end, but we're also giving them background insight into those numbers. So instead of it just being a profit and loss or balance sheet printed on a piece of paper, we have the ability to drill down if there's questions on any of those, any numbers on any of the financials, and give them the exact details that make that up. So not only do they have the numbers, but they have all the supporting details to answer their questions quickly, again, while the data is fresh. And with that, I believe Catherine had another poll question, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. So the next poll question is, do any of the problems discussed relate to your business? So I'm going to launch that now, and the same plan as always, another 45 seconds for you to choose your answer. And those choices are a cloud-based workflow, ease of auditability, time savings, and ability to easily track granular level insight. Oh, great, we've already got some eager answers. Okay, we're really close. We're at 85% of people have voted, so I'm going to give the last 15% about 10 seconds to get their answers in, and then we'll review. Okay, great. So the top answer was a cloud-based workflow that tied with time savings. Both really good options, especially as your company is expanding. I'm going to quickly share the results so our panelists can see the answers. And then we had ease of auditability and ability to easily track granular level insight. All of these seem to be strongly affecting everyone's company. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, Zach.
Awesome. Yeah, all four of those are things we definitely see within our hospitality clients. Their concerns mirror that quite frequently. So we were going to kind of close out my section today. I wanted to run through a second example of another client of ours that some similar issues, but in many ways is a very different hospitality company. We wanted to show you this to kind of highlight the flexibility again within Intacct. So Three Natives, Christies Three Natives, another customer of ours. They are a part of a rapidly growing fast casual franchise that is Three Natives that's focused on delivering quality, healthy food choices in quick serve settings. They primarily serve acai bowls, fresh pressed juices, and made to order wraps and salads. Our particular client, Christies Three Natives, has 3 locations currently across Palm Beach County down here in South Florida. So similar to 1000 North, they had no established AP workflow when we came in with them, when we first engaged with them. Not quite the invoice volume, but they still had a lot of issues as invoices were streaming in daily from multiple different stores because they have 3 different locations, different vendors, different sources. Some vendors were dropping their invoices off when they were delivering goods. Some were sending them in the mail. Some were emailing them. So although their invoice volume was not quite as high as 1000 North, they had kind of this issue to wrestle with of having multiple locations and getting invoices from multiple different places and kind of processing them centrally. And there was really no workflow to do that. Also, another need they had was that the owners were handling all the accounting of themselves at the time. And if you're an owner operator, you know the struggles of this. They really did not have much insight into operations or their financial figures. And on top of that, they were spending a large amount of time in addition to actually running the business, handling the accounting. And again, it's very frustrating to spend a lot of time on accounting and really have no tangible results out of it. So they needed us to kind of step in and help fix that and take that over from them. Another thing I wanted to highlight with them is they were a growing and still are a growing franchise. And when rinehimerbaker first engaged with them, they were actually only 1 store and were just working on adding on the 2nd store. Didn't want to create an automation gap as they expanded. Again, kind of back to the AP workflow, they already had struggles kind of centralizing their accounting process across getting invoices and stuff from different sources. And again, AP is just kind of a example. You can imagine, extending these examples out to payroll, to recording deposits and cash flow management and things. So accounts payable is just an example of one area that this issue automation gap kind of exists within their business. And again, they engaged with us because they didn't want to have this automation gap continue to grow as they added more stores. And in summary, they really just, they recognized the need to have a partner that could avoid this automation gap and provide a robust financial solution as well as assist with their scaling of their business as they continue to add more stores on, because there are some unique needs that come with rapid expansion of business and the finance and accounting that goes behind that. So now I just want to highlight a little bit of, again, their successes with Sage Intacct and rinehimerbaker and what our software solutions have provided for them. So similar to 1000 North, they have one central AP system for reviewing and paying all bills for all locations. Bills are all coded by location, which, by the way, are all separate EINs. They're all individual different entities. And all the allocation from those bills are properly or all the expenses from those bills, excuse me, are properly allocated by expense by location without any clunky workarounds or tedious coding. So they can have invoices coming in from 3 different stores in multiple different ways, you know, email, mail, dropping them off and scanning them in, and they're all going to one central system. And the workflow we've set up is automatically coding those expenses across the proper store. So store A bill is getting expensed to store A. It's not showing up on store B or store C's financials, which is really powerful to be able to do that in one system. Another success they had was having customized reporting based on their specific chart of accounts and their entity structure. Being a fast casual business, their chart of accounts is a little bit different than 1000 North. As I mentioned before, acai bowls are one of their big sellers. So, you know, they have accounts on their chart of accounts specific to acai revenue and expense. So we were able to give them customized reporting based off of a chart of accounts that's very specific to their business. And another great thing about Sage Intacct is not only were they given this customized reporting, but as Tanya mentioned earlier, they have automated consolidations at a push of a button across all of their entities, but equally can look at their financials comparing store by store performance. So having consolidated financials, just to clarify, has not lost or has not eliminated their ability to compare and look at stores on an individual basis. And I really just want to talk about on the reporting side of it here, again, as Tanya had mentioned, the amount of time savings and reduction in error-prone manual consolidations that's being eliminated by having this automatic consolidation. It's really powerful to think that multiple different entities can be all tracked in one system and just as easily reported on individually as they can consolidated. And not only are the consolidations super easy, but each time they added a new storefront, a new entity, we had them up and running on Intacct in less than 3 hours. That's pretty amazing. Big picture, Christies 3 Natives is saving over 60 hours of reporting time each year by having automated consolidations and comparative reporting, and they're saving over $30,000 a year by using Sage Intacct and rinehimerbaker versus having an in-house bookkeeper with outdated technology. We gave them one platform and one team to give them the ability to remove themselves from the hassles of accounting and channel their time and money to focus on growing their franchise rather than spending it in the weeds of accounting. So with that, I think, Catherine, did you have another poll question for us?
I do. This one's a very easy one. It's just how many locations does your hospitality company currently have? And if you are expanding in the next few months, you can go ahead and select one up. And I will launch that poll now. I'll give everyone, you know, maybe 30 seconds on this one to answer. Okay, I'll let everyone wrap up in just the next few seconds. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We had 71% that are between 2 to 5. So you're in a pretty similar position to Christies 3 Natives right now. And with that, Zach, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. And again, those poll results are kind of indicative of what we see in a lot of customers that come to us because, you know, I would imagine a number of you out in the audience with 2 to 5 are still owner operators or fairly involved in the business day to day. And really that's when the pains of an automation gap really come in because a lot of times owner operators are fairly driven and motivated. So running one store is, you know, they can do with having the automation gap. You know, they'll just put some extra hours in at the end of the day and get it done. But when you get to that 2 to 5 store or location range, it really starts to become a hassle where there's literally not enough hours in the day for someone to do it themselves. So it's interesting to see those results. But anyway, I just wanted to wrap up here today and say that Rinehimerbaker and Sage Intacct, we're here to create customers for life. We tell people upfront in every engagement that we're not trying to promote a solution that we wouldn't use ourselves. We aren't salespeople. We're daily users of the software that we've been telling you about, and are in the nitty-gritty of our customers' accounting every day. We are accountants helping accountants. We understand your pains because we've been there ourselves, and we only look to provide scalable long-term solutions that we know will make your lives easier and your business more profitable. We do this by combining innovative custom solutions that match your long-term vision with a promise from both us and Sage Intacct to hear and address your needs. If you aren't successful, we're not going to be either. And one last powerful kind of statistic here I wanted to leave you with before I turn it back to Catherine is that 85% of Sage Intacct customers regret not switching to it sooner. We wholeheartedly believe in Sage Intacct's capabilities because we've seen it in action. And again, this is a software platform that we use every single day with all of our customers. We think you're going to love it just as much as we do. And with that, I think that's the end of my time today. So I'll go ahead and hand it back over to Catherine.
Thank you, Zach. Our last poll question is about to be sent out before we wrap up. It's just to get one last gauge of everyone on the call. So it's at this point, after you've listened to what Tanya had to say and the case studies that Zach reviewed, are you interested in moving to the cloud to produce similar results at your company? So I'm going to launch that now and give everyone about 30 to 45 seconds to vote. Okay, I'm going to give everyone another 10 seconds to wrap up voting. Okay, so it looks like 86% of you are really interested in moving to the cloud, so be on the lookout for a follow-up from our team to see how we can help you. And for the 14% that said they weren't sure, we'll definitely send over some case studies. If there's any one in particular that you'd like to see, please put it in the chat box, and we'll email that over to you. So if you're interested to find out more about the customers mentioned throughout this presentation, don't forget to email accounting@rinehimerbaker.com, or like I just said, you can put it in the chat box for the specific one. If you're unsure, you can describe it. I'll figure out which one you're interested in and get it sent to you. Rinehimerbaker is a cloud accounting solutions firm that can provide all of your accounting needs, from doing your accounting, implementing new accounting software, and partners that have seamless integrations in the back end, and helping you grow your business. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join our webinar. At this time, I'm going to be answering all the questions that have been submitted today. If you haven't submitted your question, please put it in the chat box or the Q&A. I'll be checking those as we go. But we've got one here to start off with, and it's, most of these companies are food-based hospitality companies. Do you work with other types of hospitality companies? And if so, what benefits have you seen? So Tanya or Zach, I'll let one of y'all take that question.
Yeah, so this is Zach. So I think I can address that one.
Okay.
We picked these companies today. Again, they're both restaurants, as the attendee noted. But we really picked them, because they've had such great success with Sage Intacct. And although they are restaurants, they're very different. You know, we have one is a very high volume, high revenue, high dollar per cover, semi-private restaurant, and the unique needs that come with that. And the other is much more of a small, franchise-based, multi-location, quick serve setting. So although they're both restaurants, they're kind of different and unique, so we wanted to highlight that. But absolutely, do we work with hospitality companies outside of restaurants? For sure, hands down. Golf courses, country clubs, resorts, hotels, places like that, entertainment locations, they all get similar results to Sage Intacct, on Sage Intacct. And really, if anything, the biggest, I would have to say, if I did say off the cuff, like probably the biggest benefit that all hospitality companies get from Sage Intacct is really kind of that dimensionality and multi-entity aspect. So if you think about like golf courses and hotels, it's almost like you have multiple businesses within one business. So at a golf course, for example, you may have a bar in one area, you may have a restaurant, you maybe have a catering portion or banquet hall. You obviously have your members and your membership. You may have obviously the golf course. There may be some other athletic program. Maybe you have a pool, maybe you have a tennis league. So you have multiple different moving parts. And a lot of times you want to be able to track, well, what's my profitability and overhead? And payroll specific to my F&B department, and not only F&B, but I want to be tracking the bar versus catering to make sure that the bar is not doing really good and catering's doing bad, but it's not like one's propping the other up. You want to have that granular insight, and Intacct really gives that with the dimensionality. And again, some of the key things, having that anywhere, anytime access to your data, and having that deep visibility into those statistics, not only being able to slice and dice by dimension, but being able to drill down into those KPIs. And within all hospitality, as I'm sure everyone on the phone knows, it's very much a margin-based industry, and a few changes in percentage points or a few dollars per cover difference can make a huge difference in net income at the end of the year. So it's very important that not only are you reporting and seeing these KPIs, but you really have that access to drill down into them and see what's going on. So I know it's kind of a little bit of a long-winded answer, but I hope that kind of explains a little bit outside of just restaurants, but also the power that Intacct provides to hospitality as a whole.
Okay, great. So we had another one come in, and it's, how long does it take to get set up with Rinehimerbaker? And do you offer other accounting services or only implementations?
I'll take that one, Catherine. So as far as what else we offer, we do provide outsourced accounting and advisory services at various levels. So whether you need help recording transactions or analyzing your data, or giving advice on, what metrics other companies in your industry should be looking at, or just how to handle business challenges. We kind of provide all-encompassing services. So yes, we do other things as well outside of solution implementations. As far as how long it takes to kind of design and implement a new solution, it really depends on the complexity of the business, their current processes, and then the current systems that they're using that may need to be integrated. But generally speaking, we usually have new customers up and running anywhere from 1 to 3 months.
Okay, thanks, Tanya. So we've got another one. How does a cloud-based solution help cut down on the time it takes to close each month?
I'll take that one as well. I mean, that's a great question. So, we talked a lot about companies who were saving time on their month-end close. And so I think the best way to answer that is just kind of with an example. When your systems are integrated, for example, if you have a point-of-sale system and a payroll system and an automated accounts payable system, and those are all feeding into the general ledger, then your transactions are getting recorded in real time. So, that means you can reconcile your cash on a daily or weekly basis. So then once you get to month end, everything's kind of already entered and done. You're just doing like a final review, maybe on some additional reconciliations on some other balance sheet accounts, but you're kind of just doing a summary, a cursory review. Hopefully everything's entered and it cuts down on, not having to wait till the month is over to get started. Hopefully you're doing everything kind of along the way.
Great. So I don't want to keep anyone over the 45 minutes. So we've got one more question that I can get answered. Some of these companies had very large results. Can you further explain how they got them? And I can actually take this question. We have detailed case studies for all the examples mentioned in the presentation, and we're happy to send those out like I've mentioned. So just please send me a chat right now before we hop off, or you can email accounting@rinehimerbaker.com. and let us know which one you're specifically interested in, and I'll make sure you get a copy of that. And with that, that's all we've got time for today. So I want to thank everyone again for your time on this webinar. And this will be on our YouTube channel in just a few hours. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.